Welcome back to DataShark Academy. In last session, we exported a Hive table into MySQL database. The process is straightforward and works pretty much same as Sqoop import. In this lesson, we will show you how to export specific columns from Hive table to a relational table. The columns directive solves two purposes broadly. First is it helps you export selected data only. And secondly, it lets you define the order of columns in destination table. In real-world scenarios, you will often have tables already existing in relational database with different order or number of columns. If you remember, in our previous lesson, we simply exported data from a Hive table into a MySQL table. And the reason it worked was because both the tables, source and destination side, had the same number of columns and the same order of the columns. But what if there is a difference in the number of columns or there is a difference in the order of the columns? In those cases, you will need to use columns directive as we will show you in this lesson. So let's bring the terminal. First, we will create a new table in MySQL with a different order of the columns, and we'll also add one additional column in this table. So let's do that now. So I'm in the MySQL session. Let's create a new table. And we'll call it notes. As first column as employee ID, which is a primary key. Second column will change to CTC, which will be float. Third column is first name. Then last name. As you remember, in our Hive table, we have employee ID, then first name, last name, and CTC. Only 4 columns are there. But now I am intentionally making a new table on MySQL side, which will be our destination table for this exercise, to have different number of columns and also different order of columns. So last column will be notes. Alright, so this table is created. Let's do a describe just to make sure that the table is there. Alright, so a table is created and it has 5 columns. The first one is employee ID, then CTC, then first name, last name, and notes. Okay, now if you go back to Hive and use Sqoop imports database, show tables. Alright, so we have employee CTC table. Let me do a describe on this. So here first column is employee ID, then first name, last name, and total salary. Total salary is our CTC column. And notice that there is no 5th column notes in this table. Okay, so let's copy the data from Hive table employee CTC into MySQL table. Okay, so let's go back to Sqoop session. Alright, so we'll be running Sqoop export. Export directory will remain same. Notice that we always specify the SDFS directory in export commands because the data is moved from the file directly. Okay, although we have a table in Hive. Then the table directive, this will give the name. Now the table directive will be showing the name of MySQL table. Okay, I just want to make sure it is same. Yeah, it's employees. Right. So employees CTC nodes, then let's specify the columns. So this is the list of columns from Hive, and the name of the column should match with your MySQL name, not your Hive table name. Okay, so the first one is employee ID, then first name, last name, and CTC. So if you see in Hive side, the fourth column is called total salary. Okay, but here I'm specifying CTC. Why? Because these column names must match with your destination table, which is in MySQL. In MySQL, this is called CTC. So the order is different, and this is fourth column here, but in table actually it is second column. If I have this name correctly, then Sqoop will automatically move the data into the right column. Okay, so this one. Next, we need to specify fields terminator. And driver. Okay, let's run this. Alright, so 4 mappers are assigned to this job. Map process started. Alright, so it exported about 1000 records, which is the same number of records we have in the Hive table. So let's go back to MySQL and do a select star from employees CTC nodes limit 10. As you see here, the values are correctly copied to relevant columns. Okay, and this is because we specified the columns which has the exact same name as in the MySQL table, your destination table. So try this out on your end, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'll see you in the next class.